Yang Gang, it's Shalee, Aussiesforyang here on this lovely Wednesday morning. So Yang beats Trump. All right. Now, obviously yesterday's video was a bit of an aggro. These things happen. I'm in much better spirits today because we had a recent poll come out and Andrew was coming, I think he was 3%. And he ended up getting asked about who would beat Yang versus Trump. And he came out second with a 54 to 46. Yes, that's right, 54 to 46. So he came out with 54 to 46, beating Trump by 8 points. So, what I want to talk about today, there's going to be a few uncomfortable truths in this video as well, because let's just smash some myths and get to the reality of things. Now, Yang and Trump supporters have a lot more in common than you might think. You're probably not going to like me for saying that, but it's the truth. And the reason is that when Yang talks about, what were the reasons that the media said that why people elected Donald Trump, and they'll say, racism and Hillary Clinton and Russia and all of these things. Well, apart from the fact that it was the automation and the fact that Trump acknowledged the pain and hurt of the working class, Trump went around also doing something called Drain the Swamp. And I think that a lot of people really resonated with Drain the Swamp because people are sick and tired of back to politics on Tuesday, same shit, different person. And so there was a real appeal to Trump in that regard. You may not like to hear that, but that's the truth. And so a lot of the stuff that Andrew Yang proposes in regards to how he would shake things up is literally Drain the Swamp. And think about it for a second. If you are aware of any of Yang's stuff, you know that universal basic income, the freedom dividend, is a core platform. And that is basically being let's do as minimal government intervention as possible and put all of the economic power in the hands of the people. That's, when Trump was going around saying we're going to drain all these lobbyists out, we're going to get rid of all these people, we're going to make the government work for the working class, work for the regular people. That was a strong message that resonated with people and still does resonate with people. But Yang is actually the one who has clear strategies for doing it. Democracy dollars is a game changer for you guys. Now, in Australia versus America, we have a very different political system. So we still have a democracy, but you guys don't have to vote. We do. We actually get fined if we don't vote. So voting is compulsory. B, we have ranked choice voting. So we actually do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we do ranked choicing. And you guys don't. You literally pick the president. We pick a party. So your democracy dollars would actually, and if he puts ranked choice voting in as well, that will actually bring you into alignment with Australia's democracy, except for the fact that it's not compulsory. And that's the reality of your system. Everybody knows outside of America that America is run by corporations. Everybody knows. And so, lobbying power, the fact that, your medical system is entirely run by profit. Yes, our medical system is also run by profit, but we do actually, we can go to the doctor and not pay for it. And we don't have to wait for too long, actually, either, because we have both. So, anyway, I don't want to get into that. What I want to, outline is that Donald Trump and Andrew Yang, the support bases are in alignment. So Trump people aren't really sure, some of them are a bit intense, but a lot of Trump supporters would actually really align with our message. And that is why when you actually poll people and you go into any YouTube comment section, you'll see heaps of people saying, I voted Donald Trump, I would vote Andrew Yang if he was in. And you know what else you see a lot of? you see a lot of, if Andrew Yang is not the nominee, I'm voting for Trump. How many other candidates actually say, if Bernie doesn't get in, I'm voting for Trump? If Elizabeth doesn't get in, I'm voting for Trump. If Kamala doesn't get in, then I'm definitely voting for Trump. Like, none of them. So when there was an article on Business Insider about where Yang's base would go. And unfortunately, a lot of Yang's base, straight back to Trump. Now, what I find really interesting, and going back into the last video that I did, is the fact that the media is like fucked. I mean, across the board, mainstream media is just bought. And it has an agenda, and it pushes that agenda. We all know Andrew Yang doesn't fit the mold of that agenda. He doesn't look like it. He doesn't talk like it. He doesn't have the credentials. He's not, he's not bought by anyone. He has no corporate ties. And so they don't like that. But I have some bad news. I have some bad news for you guys. The reality is that your media actively allows for Donald Trump to keep doing what he's doing and actually pushes people to support Donald Trump. I know this firsthand, okay? Because here's the thing, right? Donald Trump does a fart. He goes on Twitter. That's what I liken it to. I did not come up with that. I got that from Timcast, because I watch a lot of Timcast. And he said, basically Timcast said, Donald Trump farts and they go take a whiff. And then they don't recognize what he's actually doing. And Tim is absolutely 100% right. And that is how we see it outside of your bubble. Okay? Because the reality is, Australia, we don't just always talk about our own stuff. We actually talk about a lot of other stuff that's going on international. I don't think you guys necessarily have that going on in the same degree. And so we look at your media, and it's basically like, oh, Trump tweeted this, and then it's 4 days. Okay, classic example. Look at that stuff with the race stuff, with the congresswomen. Trump played the media like a fiddle. He was like, I can put this in and get them all to talk about these women who are on the extreme progressive side of the Democratic Party. I can force all of these moderates to have to align with them to further isolate their base and steal all their moderates. And in the meantime, he passed this very full-on asylum-seeking bill that meant that basically there was he passed it with 3 different countries. I don't even know if you guys even know this because your media didn't cover it. But he passed 3 different bills with 3 different countries that surround America that basically state that people who try to claim asylum from those countries who have come up from other countries. So say you've got someone coming up from a South American country and they've been through 3 countries to get to America. If they hit Mexico or if they hit one of these other countries, they have to seek asylum there first. And it's only if their asylum gets declined there that they're then allowed to even seek asylum into America. He basically culled asylum seeking, and everyone was talking about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And they were all getting in there and all having their meetings and their speeches and their this and their that, and it was just over and over and over, all while he was doing that on the side. That's how Trump works, right? He tweets something, the media go crazy for it because they know clickbait, they know they're going to get views. They basically, he pays their freaking payroll. And then he just goes and does something. That is in a nutshell how it works, yeah? And the more stuff that I see happening with Yang in the media, the more I think that it's intentional and that the media actually secretly, they may say, on there that they hate Trump and that they don't, they want the Democrats to come and win, but I actually think that it would be beneficial financially for them to Trump to win for another 4 years. I think that's the truth. And unfortunately, they look like idiots in the process because so much of the stuff that they actually cover is so ridiculously false and stupid about Donald Trump. And what it actually does is when you cover a story about Donald Trump that's really dumb and that makes people kind of go, that's a bit stupid and dumb, and that can literally be debunked by one simple search. Like, I'll give you two clear as day examples, right? The first one, when he called Meghan Markle nasty, and that was like in the press for like 2 days. The reality is, all you had to do is watch the full video to realize that nasty has more than one meaning, and the meaning that Trump used it is almost like a synonym for that was rude, that was inappropriate. He wasn't calling her nasty, he was calling the fact that the reporter had said that she had said mean things. He was calling the mean things nasty. It was not rocket science. And it was so obvious to everyone outside of your bubble that that was hot garbage and that was a really dumb report. And so you know what happens to people who could potentially be persuaded to go vote Trump is they see something like that and they go, hang on a minute, that's garbage. That's not true. They took him out of context. And then they see it happen over and over, and then they get to a point where they go, what else have they been lying about? Is Trump really even that bad? And then it actually ticks their minds over and they move to the right. Like, that has been going on for so long. Another one is when he was talking about the fact that people were like mocking him because they reckoned that he said that Mars was like, or that the moon was like on Mars or something ridiculous. And he actually, again, it was literally a piece of a sentence taken completely out of context and he was implying one thing and they meant another. Even this whole chosen one thing was clearly a joke on his part. Like, he's a troll. He is like a literal, she's being so annoying. He's a literal troll. So that's how people end up supporting Trump that you wouldn't expect. And these people aren't all bigots, they're not all racist, they're not all these horrible people, but they see the media's crap and they see them do it over and over and over and they push them that way. So now that like they're doing it with that and they've started doing it with Yang as well, it's very clear that Yang is a huge threat to the current narrative, and that if he was the person, if they gave him fair coverage, he would be so much higher in polling. Like, if people actually knew about him, knew his policies, and knew that he was actually had clear policies to drain the swamp, he would have so much more support. So my point is, of all of this, is that Trump supporters and Yang supporters have a lot more in common than you think. And the best way to like get more people on board is to push that if Yang is the nominee, it will beat Trump. Because Yang is what people wanted when they voted for Donald Trump. So we have to celebrate this as a really big win, because this poll is ammo for us. It's ammo for the campaign, and we can actually say, look, here's the proof. You can literally point them to any YouTube video, and you can see people united behind this. And the other thing is that if you're an American and you're watching this, make sure that you are registered as a Democrat. And make sure that if you are talking to people who are, independents, libertarians, and Republicans, and they want to support Yang, make sure you get them to register and do it like ASAP. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. I hope that this video has given you a little bit of an understanding of, why I think that this is such a great thing for Yang, that it's come out, and that, he's got the debate like literally I think tomorrow. So let's keep at it. We have to keep exposing the media for the hot garbage that they are. But don't get too stroppy on Trump voters, because you'd be very, very surprised. And, the left painting all Trump supporters as these horrible people is a tactic. So, but let's hope that people wake up soon. All right, see you later.